How did you end up in a UDA uniform when you were a child, Colin?
Well, it's because my dad joined the UDA by mistake. He was back in the early '70s. He was invited to this protest meeting to protest about all the violence that was taking place, and he quite happily went along. You know, he was an ex-soldier, you know, in the Second World War, but he hated violence, so he went along to protest. But as soon as he arrived, he was handed this hunting cap, a handkerchief, and asked to raise his hand and swear allegiance to the UDA. So, you know, he couldn't get out of there quick enough. He arrived home, he threw the cap and the handkerchief in the bin. But of course, we were kids. You know, I fished the hunting cap out. I put it on, I put the handkerchief on, and together with my mates, we went out into the street we lived in, Wellington Park, and we stopped traffic. We put our hands up, stopped cars. Remember, we were like 8 or 9 years old, stopped cars, knocked on their windows came down. "Excuse me, sir, could we look in your boot?" And people would get out of their cars and open the boot for us to look at. We had no idea what we were looking for. But because we'd seen this kind of thing on TV, we were mimicking it the same way as we played Cowboys and Indians. We didn't see any difference in it because we hadn't been exposed to that violence in our nice, quiet time.
I mean, you talk about that instead of Cowboys and Indians, it was like the IRA and the UDA you were kind of playing, but it was all so innocent. Because you're young and you're seeing this on the news, but it's not actually real life in a sense.
Yeah, it was completely different. It was all over the TV, but it didn't affect our daily lives. I suppose the only way it really affected us was when we went into the town to go shopping, you know, where you'd be searched going into shops in case you had a firebomb. And now I'm searched leaving shops in case I've stolen something.
You never know how that can happen. It's always nice when, you know, you've got friends in high places. You mentioned, you know, Brad Pitt there, and now I'm going to be left thinking, you know, what Ulysses were we missing if Brad Pitt had only been less handsome?
Wow.
But another handsome old fella, a tall fella from Ulster, has given you a resounding...
A couple of them.
Yeah, I couldn't put it down. Mr. Bateman writes with such truth and deceptive simplicity and always a smattering of good old Ulster humour. That's a nice thing to get from Liam Neeson about your book, isn't it?
It's lovely. He's been very, very kind indeed. Yeah, I met Liam. I made a film a few years ago about Ian Paisley and Martin McGuinness. And originally Liam was going to play Ian Paisley. And I actually flew over to meet him in his New York apartment, which, as you can imagine, is a very cheap bed sit. And he read the part brilliantly, but it didn't work out. He had no idea who I was, no reason why he should know. But he sent me a lovely email afterwards, and the email read, "Dear Colin, I'm in bed with my girlfriend. She's reading one of your books, and I'm reading one of your books. Too much information? ? Which is just a lovely thing to get from a superstar.
You're not wrong.
Pretty nice, actually, yeah.
Listen, Colin, congratulations. I mean, it's amazing. Your first autobiography, Thunder and Lightning, a memoir of life on the tough cul-de-sacs of Bangor. Love it. And I'm sure a lot of people watch this more and be hoping that there's a couple more fictions out there.
Absolutely.
Books coming very soon as well. But listen, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.